All right, the New Orleans Saints have a running back that is skyrocketing up the depth chart. If you're new to the channel, we're Detroit Lions fans, but we have this channel talking about teams and stories that just don't get the love nationally like they should. New Orleans Saints are a team that we've kind of identified as a team that's just being slept on. It seemed like in this division you can make some moves, and they are a team that if they won this division, you wouldn't be shocked. I just wouldn't be. So the New Orleans Saints have a running back, and this is pretty interesting because it's Jordan Mims, and he's had an impressive start to training camp, and he has a golden opportunity to grab a job in the Saints backfield. Here's why. You've got Alvin Kamara, of course, but then Jamal Williams. And I know a lot about Jamal Williams. He was with the Lions, really productive. Then he goes to the Saints, didn't do much last year. And so what we saw, Jamal Williams is closer to what we saw with the Saints than he is with when he had like 17 touchdowns with the Lions. He's not great. So you have Alvin Kamara. Jamal Williams is not great. So, however, Miller's absence presents a potential depth issue for the team. After missing 9 games with injuries last year, the explosive Miller was also expected to be a much bigger contributor to this offense this year. And again, sorry, we're talking about Kendre Miller, who went out with a hamstring injury in the first day of training camp. So it's supposed to be Kamara, Jamal Williams, Miller. Well, Miller's out. Jamal Williams isn't great. And so now you've got an opportunity for Jordan Mims. Went to Fresno State. Last year had an opportunity. He led the Bulldogs. Let's just go through his history a little bit. He was there through COVID. So I mean, we're still dealing with these COVID guys. What I mean by that is I think there's some potential in some certain players that we don't know about, or production wasn't there, because remember, they were interrupted with COVID. So he had seasons where he was just kind of interrupted. So he led the Bulldogs with 627 yards as a freshman, 6 touchdowns. And then he shared the backfield duties, COVID as well. So again, there was some things going on in there. He went undrafted in the 23 draft, last year's draft, goes to the Buffalo Bills. Despite a strong preseason, he was among the final roster cuts. He goes to New Orleans immediately as the practice squad. He'd see action in a couple of games. They signed him to a futures deal. So here he is. And now this is the guy that it's like, okay, need to have a little bit there. He's 5'10", 206. He doesn't have the biggest, he's not the biggest, doesn't have the biggest speed, not the most production, but who cares? Because what happens, you see this with undrafted guys. Running back is a position where guys can come out of nowhere. And I'm just telling you that it's good to see that he's been impressive in training camp up until this point, because Jamal Williams is not great. Alvin Kamara is another year older. It's like, man, right here, Williams was a disappointment his first year with the Saints. For sure he was. So keep an eye on that one. As we get through training camp, remember, we're at 90 players. We're going to kind of dwindle that down. Keep an eye on Jordan Mims. It's good to see you've got depth at the running back position. Another situation that's kind of going on, if you're a Saints fan, is Marshawn Lattimore. I think this is the thing about the Saints. You don't have a ton of blue chip players, right? And you're trying to identify, do you have depth? We'll see. But kind of your star players, you can't afford to lose them. And Marshawn Lattimore being one of them, he leaves early with a hip injury. And so that's the bad news. The good news is Kool-Aid McKinstry comes in. We'll get to him in just a second. But Marshawn Lattimore left practice with a hip flexor injury. And so just something, again, to keep an eye on. Rookie cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry replaced Lattimore on the outside for the majority of practice. And McKinstry also took snaps in the slot. Here's why I say good news, bad news. All of the reports so far is that Kool-Aid looks really good. This is so big if you're a Saints fan, because you have to have your early round picks hit with the state of your franchise, meaning your star players are older, your core, where's it at? Like, what's your core? You're building your core now, which is fine. But if your draft picks don't hit, then it's really going to be hard to build the core and do what you want to do. But if they hit, then you've got Kool-Aid, you've got other guys that you can build this core around and move forward, and you're going to be just fine. You've got a good enough quarterback. You've got like Baker Mayfield-ish type quarterback, which is not a bad thing. I don't like Baker Mayfield, but I look at him and I'm like, you know what? He gets the job done. He's not costing you $50 million a year. Build around him. You're fine. You have a quarterback. There are 10 teams in this league that do not have a quarterback. You look at the Broncos, the Raiders, the Patriots. I don't know, right? There's teams that don't have quarterbacks. What if the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young doesn't work out? You have a quarterback. You've got a coach that's getting the trajectory of the culture going. You've got a quarterback. You've got a running back. You've got a good defense. You need these pieces that we just talked about to step up and do something. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to win. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but man, if there's depth pieces can play like you hope they can, it'll be just fine. Another one that's kind of interesting is that Demario Davis secures a spot in the top 50 of the NFL's top 100 list. So again, I was just talking about some of your star players are a little bit older, but Demario Davis, let's go. I mean, this is why your defense is going to keep you in every game. Your defense is going to keep you in games. So offensively, Derek Carr need a running game. Jamal Williams, like, are you good? Do you suck? Like, I need to know, because our defense will keep us in this. So for the 4th straight season, he's in the top 100 in the NFL. And that's not easy. I mean, really, you look at it, it's not easy to get in that top 100, especially in the top 50. So you've got star players, Cam Jordan, defense is there. Offensively, just have to make some plays this year. Like, make plays. Give the defense something to be like excited about, to go out there and play hard for you. Like, those are the things that I hope the Saints can do. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, if you're new to the channel, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and going for 20,000 subs on this channel as we talk about teams kind of under the radar. The Lions were under the radar for so many years that love to give some love to other teams as we look at what they have going, and give you an outsider's perspective as well as we look at teams and just give our opinion. It's good to hear somebody else's. So let me know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see all of you on the next.